So it says we're live on Facebook. That's great. I'm going to come back over here, see if there's anyone else. Okie dokie. So what I'll do, I will super quickly ask if anybody wants to, just in like a few sentences, raise their hand and share a little bit about how they have felt since doing the base chakra work. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it'd be good to get like maybe 1 or 2 people's feedback, very, very short feedback. Would anyone be up for that? You don't have to. Steph, hello. You'll have to unmute yourself, love.
Yeah, I will. I only did it this morning, caught up this morning, but it was really beautiful for me to put the dots together.
Yeah.
From, you know, Tasha, I'm all about that generational stuff. So seeing that link and going, oh, yeah, that's how dad was, that's how mum was.
Yeah.
I can see how it's playing in my world, even if it's not as extreme as their reactions.
Sure.
And I feel so clear and like capable now moving forward.
Yeah,
like I feel really empowered. Just having acknowledged it, even like next time it comes up, I'll be like, yeah, okay, I got you.
Yeah. And we have to remember with this stuff, thanks, Steph. We have to remember that there's layers of it, right? There's layers upon layers upon layers, and it comes back, it resurfaces, it releases, it comes back, it goes away. That's just, you know, that's the nature of it. So we've got a number of people who've joined in, so I will officially start. So for everyone who's here, I just want to say hello. Welcome to day 2 of the Lower Chakra Deep Dive. If you are watching through Facebook, let us know where you are. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching the replay, #replay, just to keep this boosted up in the thread. And I really want to hear from you guys as we're moving through. So if you're in the Zoom class or in the Facebook group, I would love to hear as we're moving through today. Please let us know your insights. Drop them in. Yeah, that really helps everyone to. Well, your insights are going to spur other people's insights on as well. That's just the powerful way that this work works. But before we dive into today, the second chakra, which is like we could spend weeks here. There is so much that goes on here. And in terms of the way we limit ourselves, we hold ourselves back from our power, there is massive amounts of things that happen at the sacral chakra that impact that, okay, as we're going to really start to unpack. But I just wanted to really touch on yesterday and remind you guys that whenever we're working on goals that stretch us out beyond our tribe, right, beyond the realms of what people in our family have done before, that's always going to trigger our lower chakra stuff, especially our first and second chakra, just by the nature of it, right? Because of that vow of loyalty that we spoke about yesterday, because of that, the vow of rebellion kicking in its own way as well. Hi, Ramina. Hi, Rosie. It's always going to trigger that. So we need to be mindful of that. Whenever we up level, whenever we come up against our upper limits, that's often this stuff being triggered, right? When we really start to look in under the surface, we can see that it's this stuff being triggered. Obviously, there's other stuff that comes through as well. And a lot of that stuff that can come up when we are up leveling, we will explore more today, because it's all about our power. It's all about our needs. It's all about being seen. It's all about being visible. It's all about being vulnerable, right? This is what we're going to be diving into today. So this is really this work. I see it as, you know, this phrase gets thrown around a lot, like step into your true power. Yeah. What does that actually mean, right? We need to sometimes question that. What does that mean to step into my true power, to be empowered, to step into my power? And a lot of this work, especially the work that goes on at the second chakra, is the pathway to your personal empowerment being released. This is energy that is stored in the lower chakras that we block off because of things that happen to us over a lifetime. But when it's released, it floods up through our system, like lots of different emotions and energies that we're going to talk about today. Whenever this floods up through our system, right, this is our empowerment energy. So the second chakra, the sacral chakra, what happens here in this level is often very counterintuitive, okay? So your brain is going to actively try and lead you away from doing this particular work because it can sound really crazy, right? The things that we're going to talk about today can sound really, really triggering, really counterintuitive, really, it can really just pushed all of our buttons. However, this is the pathway to empowerment, right? We have to work through all of this stuff in order to experience that. So have a look over here at my notes. The benefit of doing this work is that we become more empowered, we become more magnetic, we become more compelling, we become more charismatic. And as a result, we have more capacity to transform our clients, right? We've got to think about the bigger picture with this kind of work. We can compel people into action. We can move people to move. We can really step into this space of being a true leader in our industry and not have anything tied into that word leadership, right? And we're going to really look at this today. Not have anything going on in there about, you know, being empowered or being seen to be powerful in the way that you go about your business, in the way you go about living your life. And this has a real flow-on effect for our business. Obviously, in our relationships, the way that we hold ourselves, the way that we go about our marketing, our messaging, the way that we connect with our people, it really all comes back to this. I really believe, you know, everyone talks about know, like, and trust. Yeah, KLT. Your clients, your prospects have to know you, like you, and trust you before they're going to buy from you or invest with you. I believe that that's feel, know, like, and trust. In order for KLT to happen, they have to feel you first, right? They have to feel your essence, feel your magnetism, feel your, you know, your self-belief, your empowerment, your charisma, all of that. All of these things stack up, right? When people really can feel that within you, then they start this process of warming up to you and wanting to be around you, right? As we spoke about yesterday, people who have this magnetic quality, you want to be around them, right? They're very, you know, their energy lights up the room. It's very, very compelling. Yeah. So this is what we're wanting to cultivate for our own personal development, but also for our business development as well. But I just want to have a little caveat here, and this is really important. In order for us to see the best kinds of results in our business, this is a very, very important piece of the pie. And those of you who know my work will know that I work with the 3 pillars that are important to me. The first one is energetics. This is what we're doing in this challenge. We're diving deep into energetics. The second one is mindset, right? The energetics feed into the mindset, but our belief systems, the way that we view the world, the way we view our business, our clients, all of that is super, super important. Money, as we spoke about yesterday, is freaking huge. And the third one is strategy, right? So we need to have the winning trifecta when we start to see big, big results in our business. So we're not diving into strategy in this challenge. We're mainly diving into energetic work, a tiny bit of mindset work, but it's predominantly energetic. But you can do all the mindset and energetic work in the world, right? But if you're not applying the strategy and taking action and showing up and failing and trying again, but not seeing it as failing, if you're not putting the energy and the effort in to growing your business actively, you're not going to get the results. It's the same thing as if all you're doing is strategy, but you're not applying the energetic and the mindset work, right? This is why I think this is so powerful, because they form the foundation, right? Your energetics and your mindset kind of lock together to form the foundation upon which the strategy of your business that you're applying sits upon. So it's very, very important foundational work. And we also need to remember to be applying the strategy. So in a lot of my containers where I take my women through my processes, one that I've got at the moment that's happening is the Lightworkers Activation Code. This is what we're seeing, right? The women who are applying this work, who are applying the embodiment, who are really digging deep into this embodiment work and taking action from the strategy perspective as well, are really seeing massive results and big shifts forward in their business. And this is why we need to remember the bigger picture with this, okay? So I just want to have that be as a little caveat, because I know for me, in my experience, for a long time, I didn't do any strategy. I was like throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping something was going to stick, right? Until I realized that we actually, things happen a lot better and a lot faster in business when we start applying strategy. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the Lightworkers Activation Code as we move through. I'm opening up a second round, which is starting in a couple of weeks, which is very exciting. But today we're going to be really delving into the second chakra. So we've got big things to talk about today when it comes to the second chakra. And I've got a number of different little processes with with visualization and tapping. I've got about 4, 5 if I have time. It's going to be a really big session. So I want you to have water. I want you to be drinking water as we go through. I'm hoping it's not going to go any longer than an hour, hour and 10. But we'll see how we go. I've got a bit of time today. So, right, let me look over here. So your second chakra is so much happens here. This is how we feel the world around us, right? This is how the world around us moves through us via our senses. Okay, so when I look at my little 4-year-old and I watch him giggling and smelling the roses and chasing our chickens, and just he's so present in the moment, he's so connected to his environment. It reminds me of an empowered and strong second chakra, right? This is the development time of the second chakra, right? So when we're coming into this developmental stage. And for adults, the thing with the second chakra is that over generally a lifetime of often traumatic experiences, whether they're big T or little t traumas, we learn to shut down in our second chakra, because this is our sensuality, right? This is our power. This is our anger. This is our passion. This is like the fuel source for our energetic system. And when we have experiences with people in authority or parents who model to us that these kinds of things are not safe, which is often what happens when we are a child, then we learn very early on that we need to shut off from these different types of energies. And as a result, we shut off from our empowerment. We shut off from this incredible on fire passion that we can experience when we tap into the lower chakras. What I want to say here is that you can't think your way into this state, these states, right? You can't think your way into more empowerment. You can't think your way into more magnetism, more charisma. You cannot think your way there, but your brain will try to tell you that you can. And that in many cases is the ego, the wounded ego, trying to help you avoid going to the places that we might go today. All right, so we're going to go there with love, with grace, with this energy of light curiosity, which is what I want to establish with you now. And I want you to really use this metaphor once again of leaving no stone unturned, right? So that we're going to have the courage and the willingness to go to the spaces that need to be shone, that light needs to shine on. So first of all, what we're going to talk about today, the first process that we're going to do today, I'm going to move you right into it, all right? This is all about feeling your deepest needs, this process. So your needs, the needs that we have, our very basic human needs, that for a lot of people, we learn very early on, it's actually not okay for us to have those needs because they're probably not going to get met. And as a result, we're not going to allow ourselves to even feel them. We're not going to allow ourselves to feel our needs, and we're certainly not going to allow ourselves to ask for those needs to get met. So as a result, we have a lot of evidence of people around us who just try to do it all on their own, right? It's like, I can't trust anybody else to meet my needs, so I'm just going to meet my own needs for me, right? And that's the energy that we give off to the universe. And as a result, what's like one of the very big needs that we need in business? It's money, right? Financial compensation. I see this a lot. When we have this powerful vow, the vow to never have needs and to never allow myself to communicate those needs, it's like we manifest lots of opportunities to work really hard and no money as a result, or no joy, no ease, no excitement as a result. This is going to be woven through our session today because it is so powerful with all of the second chakra work. So what I want you to do, and if you're watching on the Facebook group, I want you to follow along as well, and typing in, when I ask questions, type them in so that we can keep this going. So what I want you to do is to close your eyes, place your feet on the floor, and I want you to take a breath, and I want you to close your eyes. Well, close your eyes. And take another big deep breath in, feeling your feet on the floor. And I want you to imagine that you can see yourself. Imagine that your mind can paint you a picture of you as a young child, 5 or 6 years old. And I want you to see her there. And it's okay if you feel like you're making this up, like you're remembering an old photo. That's okay. But I want you to see this child and once again get a sense of how she looks and feels, or he looks and feels. Ask your mind to show you. And now ask your mind to show you a time when that child realized that some of her needs were never going to get met. Maybe it was a dangerous environment. Maybe it was a critical environment. Maybe there was something going on in the family where it was impossible for the parents to actually meet that child's needs. Maybe there was a sick parent. Whatever it was, I want you to just see that moment where that child realized that some of her needs weren't going to get met. And so she wasn't going to feel her needs because they were never going to get met. And I want you to see the moment that that child made a vow to not only not ask for those needs to be met, but also to not even really feel them. And instead, do some other behavior. Maybe go invisible. Maybe become super smart. Maybe become super helpful. Or be a good little girl or a good little boy. Something else instead of feeling these deepest needs. Take a big breath. And I want you to get a sense of what those needs actually are. Because if you're looking at a child, those needs are going to be very basic and very simple. They're essential human needs, and they're often not adult needs. So the need to be seen, the need to be loved, the need to be heard, the need to be adored, to be praised. I want you to see that. And if this brings up any stress or sadness, you can just tap lightly on your collarbone points to move the energy through. And I want to suggest to you, as you're staying with this energy, that child, she taped her needs up in a big box, put them in storage deep down in her second chakra. And these are the biggest needs that you still have, and never allow yourself to ask anyone to meet them for you. So can you imagine what it would be like to start to own and honor that? Do you see how this might make you vulnerable? Maybe that might bring up another vow we're going to talk about, to be not vulnerable. It might be scary for you to ask for your needs to be met. But this is exactly what we have to do in the second chakra. So I want you just to feel all of that and come back to the feeling of your feet on the floor and opening up your eyes. And I want you to just type into the chat box or into your comment box on Facebook if that was activating for you. So some of these you might not necessarily be activated for you personally. They will be for other people. So as we're moving through, I want you to kind of like assess yourself. Yeah, okay, that was big for me. There's stuff there, right? There's stuff there for me. So I want you to just let me know, did that feel activating? Did that feel like there's stuff there for you to work through? Because this is the very first way that we actually start to shut off from our second chakra. Yes, visceral. Yes, perfect. So you have the vow to be perfect come in, Tamara, which is very, very common, right? It's like, in many cases, this is like we have to become a little adult, yeah, before we're ready to. And that can sometimes be one of the biggest betrayals that we can experience. Betrayal is strong in the second chakra, betrayal energy, because we didn't get that opportunity to be a child. right? We didn't get that opportunity to have no responsibility. We had to stack on the responsibility. Heaps there for me. Okay. That was so me, no one to rely on, right? This is this almost like parentification happening as well that I see quite a lot with this this vow, the vow to never have needs or never allow myself to feel my needs. You can imagine how this impacts us, right? As we go about our life, as we go about our business, it's massive. Definitely acknowledging huge things. Okay, so let's do some tapping for this particular vow. We're going to go right in once again, okay? So if anyone, pretty sure everyone here has done tapping with me before. If not, try it, just follow along because we don't really have time for me to explain it today. We've got a lot to cover. Would someone like to be my shadow before we go on? If anyone wants to unmute themselves, maybe Steph, would you happy to be my shadow? Is that okay? Thanks, honey. Do you know what that means? You've done this with me before, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All righty. There I am.
There I am.
A long time ago.
A long time ago.
I see everything that I lost.
I see everything that I lost.
Everything that I wanted.
And everything that I wanted.
Everything that I wanted from my parents.
Everything that I wanted from my parents.
That it didn't come my way.
But it didn't come my way.
So I stopped wanting it.
So I stopped wanting it.
I became a little adult.
I became a little adult.
I stopped feeling what I really wanted.
Stopped feeling what I really wanted.
And so I never asked.
And so I never asked.
That might have been dangerous.
That might have been dangerous.
Or crazy.
Or crazy.
And so I've locked away these desires.
And so I've locked away these desires.
These wants.
These wants.
Locked them away.
Locked them away.
Put them in a cupboard.
Put them in a cupboard.
In the basement energy of my second chakra.
In the basement energy of my second chakra.
And I never let them speak.
And I never let them speak.
And yet shutting down this massive amount of energy.
Yet shutting down this massive amount of energy.
Also shuts off my joy.
Also shuts off my joy.
I don't get to be joyful.
I don't get to be joyful.
It's all very serious.
All very serious.
And I'm just going to honor.
And I'm just going to honor.
That when I put away my real needs.
That when I put away my real needs.
Very simple needs.
Very simple needs.
The need to be felt, the need to be seen.
The need to be seen.
The need to be heard.
The need to be heard.
The need to be honored.
The need to be honored.
The need to be loved.
The need to be loved.
The need to be cherished.
The need to be cherished.
All of these needs I shut myself off from.
All of these needs I shut myself off from.
And I'm open to feeling.
And I'm open to feeling.
Maybe 10% of them again.
Maybe 10% of them again.
And I'm open to the ways.
And I'm open to the ways.
That I could actually ask for them to get met.
That I can actually ask for them to get met.
And that might take a lot of courage.
And that might take a lot of courage.
It might take me being vulnerable.
It might take me being vulnerable.
It might be hard for me.
It might be hard for me.
But this is the direction of my growth.
But this is the direction of my growth.
Thank you. Okay. Close your eyes and take a breath. Just feeling that in your body. And as we move through these processes, you're going to know which ones you'll want to come back to, and recognizing that. Taking a big deep breath, coming back to the space. You're going to now talk about something that's very connected, the vow to never allow yourself to be vulnerable. Okay. This is massive in the second chakra. And, you know, we've got people like Brené Brown creating books about the power of vulnerability. And there is so much power in being vulnerable. But for so many people, that is completely not safe to be, right? It's not safe to be vulnerable because potentially I was vulnerable in the past and I got taken advantage of. Or potentially something happened when I opened myself up like that in a way that was vulnerability. So the thing with vulnerability as well is that there is a very strong shadow side to vulnerability, right? And the shadow is also the realm of the second chakra. So we're going to look at the vow to never allow yourself to be vulnerable, but through the lens of the shadow of vulnerability, which is challenging. Shadow work can be counterintuitive, but I think all of you are very familiar with shadow work. It's very, very powerful, okay? So in order to get under this vow, we need to look at the piece of vulnerability that you vowed never to take on. So what I want you to do is close your eyes, take a breath, feel your body after that process, after that tapping. And I want you to imagine somebody that you know in your life. Or if you don't know anyone who meets this criteria, you can imagine someone, let your mind paint you this picture. And this is someone who's incredibly needy, terribly vulnerable. I want you to see them there. Maybe they're sad, they don't have any energy. Maybe they're moping around all the time, asking for help from everyone. Can't get anything done on their own. I want you to just see that super needy, super vulnerable person who's very, very comfortable in the energy of being needy and vulnerable. And I want you to see this as the shadow side of vulnerability. What is the judgment that you have about that person? Is there a strong judgment that you have? Do you have a strong aversion to people like that? If you do, this is an indicator that you have a strong shadow of vulnerability. This is a very, very powerful aspect of the second chakra when we can tap into this human innate state of vulnerability. We have so much that's available to us. So let's do some tapping through this. We're going to tap through this shadow side of vulnerability. And like I said before, you'll notice, I want you to sort of kind of self-diagnose for yourself. What are the ones that feel stronger and the ones that feel less strong? So who would like to be my shadow here? Taylor, would you like to be my shadow? Yeah. Can you unmute? Oh, no, I've unmuted you there. Okay, beautiful. All righty. So let's jump right in. Oh, there she is.
Oh, there she is.
That weak, vulnerable person.
That weak, vulnerable person.
Ugh.
Ugh.
I don't even like to look at her.
I don't even like to look at her.
She's so wimpy.
She's so wimpy.
So vulnerable.
So vulnerable.
Always mopey.
Always mopey.
And weepy.
Weepy.
Ugh, get it together.
Oh, get it together.
She can't pull it together.
She can't pull it together.
Always draining everyone.
Always draining everyone.
Needing help.
Needing help.
Asking for help.
Asking for help.
Totally disempowered.
Totally disempowered.
I totally judge her.
I totally judge her.
And I'm right about that.
And I'm right about that.
I don't want to be anything like this.
I don't want to be anything like this.
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
It's so weak.
It's so weak.
All that vulnerability.
All that vulnerability.
Being overwhelmed at life.
Being overwhelmed at life.
All the time.
All the time.
Always sick and run down.
Always sick and run down.
Never getting anything done.
Never getting anything done.
So vulnerable.
So vulnerable.
I totally judge her.
I totally judge her.
And I don't want to be anything like that.
And I don't want to be anything like that.
It is not safe for me to be vulnerable.
It is not safe for me to be vulnerable.
I made a vow to never allow myself to be vulnerable.
I made a vow to never allow myself to be vulnerable.
Okay, thank you. Take a breath and close your eyes. I want you to just feel that through your system. We voice the resistance against the shadow of vulnerability. I want you to just picture that person again in your mind's eye. See how they look. Do they look a little bit less vulnerable? Or sorry, does there seem like there's a bit less resistance? And I want you to ask yourself a very intriguing question. What is the light side to this willingness of this person to be vulnerable? What do they get to experience and receive? I want you to type it in the comments, what comes through. What do they get as a result of being so open about their needs, being so vulnerable, that potentially you have blocked yourself off from if you have this strong vow? They get the support I wish I wanted as a child. They get to be seen, they get to be heard. They're much more likely to get their needs met. That's exactly right, and understood. They are much more likely to get their needs met because they are so vocal, right? That vulnerability, this is the beauty in vulnerability, right? But when we have a strong shadow against vulnerability, like a strong vulnerability shadow, it blocks us off from feeling our needs and asking for those needs to get met, right? So we try to do everything ourselves. Yeah, this is a sign of a very inverted sacral chakra. It's like, I don't need anybody else's support. I'm going to do it all on my own, which leads us to feeling resentful of the world, right? It's like the mother that, you know, is doing all of the things around the house and not asking anybody to help her, yet feeling incredibly, you know, critical and resentful of that, right? So much available for us when we can allow ourselves to actually open up our voice and ask for what it is that we need. But how many of us have such strong resistance to that, right? We don't want to appear weak. We don't want to appear needy, like that needy woman. There's such a shadow against the needy woman, right? So we shut down from that and we get really strong, yeah? Oh, Leanne's here, I'll let her in. We get really strong. We tell ourselves that it's not safe to be vulnerable. And also, if we have experienced if we've experienced times in the past, like I said, when we have been vulnerable and we have been taken advantage of, then we shut down even more. So we go into self-protection mode, right? I can't do that again. I'm never going to allow myself to be taken advantage of again. So I can't be vulnerable. Now in business, everyone talks about how we can have like powerful vulnerability, right? How it's a very powerful connection strategy. How it is one of the things that really helps us to bond with our tribe, right? When we can be open and vulnerable and human and show our humanness, right? Show our story, share our story. It's a very, very powerful connection marketing strategy. However, you will subconsciously avoid at all lengths doing strategies like that because to you, that's like death. If you have a strong vow to never be vulnerable, that's death, right? To the ego in a sense. So noticing, did the vow of vulnerability feel like, did that show up as strong for you? If you had a strong, I vow it's not safe for me to feel my needs, then it's likely going to be a strong vow to never be vulnerable. They go hand in hand. So I want you to let me know, did both of those vows show up for you? Were they strong? Were they like highly triggering or highly activating? Or did you feel like they weren't so triggering for you? So I'm just going to come over here and have a squiz in the comments, all right, at the Facebook group, and then we're going to come back. So the other thing, like I said, you know, when we're not vulnerable, we don't allow people to feel us, right? Often your willingness to show your weakness is very, very powerful. And I don't mean to show like hang out your dirty laundry on Facebook when we're practicing these kinds of marketing strategies. However, it's a very, very powerful thing. And when we shut that down and judge ourselves for being vulnerable and needy, then we're not allowing any of the gifts into the beautiful side of vulnerability as well. I'll come and have a look. So triggering, humiliating, okay, triggering, not safe. To be vulnerable and to be hurt. Yeah. Okay. So with this, right, we've got the tapping, okay? So if this still feels strong for you as we're going through, I want you to just continue to tap on the collarbone points and breathe. There's so much in the second chakra. And as I said before, it's very counterintuitive, right? Your brain will actively try and lead you away from this, yeah, because it doesn't want to go here. But can you see that stored in at the second chakra? This is our empowerment energy that we shut ourselves off from, right? When we can ease into the courage to be vulnerable, when we can ease into the courage to feel our feelings, to feel our needs, to ask for them to get met, to stand firmly in that, right? This is our empowerment. And when we release all of this stuff, this stagnant emotion, this stagnant energy that's stored in the lower chakras, this is a taste of the work, right? There's so much that can be done in this space. But when we release all of that energy, it floods up like this upward rising current of empowerment, right? It floods up through all of the chakras. It comes up into the third chakra, and it compels us to start taking action, right? So have a look here. I realized that judging myself for being needy and vulnerable is stronger than the vulnerability itself. Very powerful. So that's that self-judgment there, okay? And that's important to notice that, and to notice the need to, that desire, unconscious desire to judge yourself. I didn't feel too triggered about being vulnerable, but I felt like I wanted to throw up when I was aware of judging the person that came to mind for being vulnerable. Okay, so that's that shadow coming through again. Shadow work with this is so powerful. Taylor had strong self-judgment. And once again, remember that energy of light curiosity, right? We're observing it. Yeah, we're trying not to get embroiled in the intensity of the emotion, but we are observing it, we're watching it, okay? So let's move on. And obviously, when we bring that level of awareness in, right, once we start to see these patterns and see these vows that we've taken on, we have awareness now. And with awareness comes great clarity, right? We can start to see how these patterns have been playing out, potentially for many generations. Often this is stuff that we inherit, that's modeled to us by our parents. And when we can see these patterns and how they start to play out, we suddenly have the decision, we can make that decision to create new choices, right? So this is the beginning of these light bulb moments in this space. So let's move on. So the other very, very, very important component of the second chakra is receiving. It's all very tied in, right? We need to open up, speak about our needs, and we need to ask for them to be met, and we need to allow and receive other people's support, right? We need to feel comfortable being vulnerable and being open and being soft, and we need to receive the benefit of that. Receiving is such a big one in the second chakra. And the second chakra, the sacral chakra, is literally where we receive the world, right? Where we receive through our senses. We receive from a sexual perspective, you know, women, it's like our sexual center, it's our womb space. This is so much here that happens from the receiving perspective. But I know so many people, women, men as well, but women in particular really, really find receiving very hard. And is that you? I'd love to see a little show of hands. Who wants to put their hand up and admit that maybe they're not very good at receiving? I'll put my hand up. I'm not very good at receiving, and I've had to really work on it. It's not easy for everyone, right? And similar to the deepest needs component, when we don't allow ourselves to be open to receive, then we manifest lots of opportunities to work and not a lot of opportunity to receive the benefit of that work, right? From a business perspective. So if you have made a vow to be not a very good receiver, then you can see how we shut ourselves off, right? Whenever we block receiving, we're literally shutting off at the second chakra. And in order to be open to receive, we have to be open at the second chakra as well, right? Which means getting a little more vulnerable. And if we've made a vow to never be vulnerable, then we can often find it hard to be a good receiver as well. So if you're not a good receiver, if you find it difficult, then there's also correlations with not actually being present and enjoying life that much, right? Because we have to be open to receive the moment. We have to be open to receive the present, right? So that can go hand in hand as well. And if we have this pattern, like I said, we achieve and achieve and achieve, and when we get there, it doesn't feel the way we thought it was going to feel, right? So this is why we see people that work their asses off and then never really feel that satisfied, never really feel like they've made it, even though everyone else around them looks like they have made it. It looks to them like they have made it. So what I want you to do, once again, close your eyes, take a breath, settle into your chair. And I want you to imagine yourself. This may be a made-up moment, or it might be an experience that has actually happened to you. I want you to imagine a time when you did something fantastic. You did something really great. And someone comes up to you and says, in the most heartfelt of ways, thank you. Thank you so much. And they're telling you that you're amazing, that you're awesome, that it helped them so much. And it really, really helped them, and how wonderful you are. And I want you to see yourself there and potentially see just how little of this experience you're letting in, how little you're receiving. And potentially it might be like there's a shield around you. You're like, oh, thanks, no worries. That's just what I do. You know, I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for the praise, right? But there can often be a shield around us that prevents us from this energy of receiving. And we can often be smacking and battling the love that someone's trying to offer us away, because we've got this shield on that says it's better to give than to receive. And I don't want to be that vulnerable and open, because to receive, I have to be open. So I want you just to either imagine an experience in the past or picture energetically what this is like when we are in this mode of operating, and see how much this has potentially cost you on the inside, in the way you get to feel and experience life. If someone comes up to you to reflect back your brilliance, and they only get like 10% of that, do you think that's costing you quite a lot? And I want you just to see and feel, how does this get experienced by the person who's trying to compliment you? Do they feel seen and heard and validated for what they're trying to give you? Because in that moment, there wasn't any deep presence and connection there. So coming back to the feeling of your feet on the floor. And we're not going to do tapping on this one, but I want to just open it up for a little bit of conversation. Is there someone who'd like to share their experience with receiving, and how potentially that it has been like that, where there's been a shield around you, where it's like we don't let in people, we don't let in that love, we don't let in that praise? Is there anyone who wants to share? I'll just pop over to look at everyone in the big screen. We don't have to share if you don't feel like sharing. That's totally okay, no pressure. If not, we'll move on. But it's a very, very big one. Who wants to put their hand up? Or Maya, would you like to share? Okay, great. You have to unmute yourself, Maya.
I used to be dreadful at receiving. I just, dismiss people. And sitting with that process made me realise how awful that was for the person on the other side. I'm much better at it than I used to be.
Great.
Probably not 100% accepting. Pretty close now, but no, for years and years and years. No.
Okay. And could you get that sense that we kind of keep people at bay, don't we, when we do that?
Yeah. But that's, I think that's what I did on a lot of levels. Very conscious now of how much I used to do that, and how much I had that. No, I'll do it myself, and how what had happened to me in my childhood had made me that way, that I couldn't rely on other people, because every time I asked for help, it never happened. So I just stopped when I was quite young. And
that's that vow, right? The vow to never ask for my needs to get met. And so what's the point of being receptive if I'm not even asking in the first place?
And added to that, I have no siblings, and I had no cousins and no aunts and uncles when I was growing up. So there wasn't that support, and I went to boarding school when I was 7, so yeah, all of that. I can see how all of that added to it.
Yeah.
That I had to rely on myself. There was no one else around.
Yeah.
To me. Yeah.
And we become little adults, don't we?
Well, yeah, I was my mother's emotional support. I was told some time back that I actually had a contract with her to feel her feelings.
Wow.
And I thought, what idiot would take that on? Not just be her emotional support, but feel her feelings. So,
yeah. And I can imagine the confusion that kicks in, especially when we're young. It's like, well, we don't know what's ours and what's not, right? We don't have that capacity.
Oh, it took me 2 years of doing a holistic counselling diploma to start to untangle my relationship with her and work out where I ended and she began.
Yeah.
It wasn't until much later that I actually was able to heal that. But I couldn't explain my relationship with her to anybody because I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But then much later discovered that she was actually a narcissist, so it's very difficult to
you've got that narcissist empathic
and it was a very codependent enmeshed relationship.
Thank you for sharing. And when we start to delve into the second chakra, like there's so much inner child, and the root chakra as well, like all of the lower chakras, it's very, very much inner child work that we're doing there, just through the consciousness levels of the second chakra, of the different chakras, until we kind of get to the upper chakras, where really they're kind of the mouthpieces to the lower, to the beliefs and the vows that we've taken on at the lower chakras. So if I've taken on a vow that it's not safe to be vulnerable, right, then this is what I speak to the world, right? Oh, I can do it all on my own, right? You know, I don't need anyone's help. I don't want to be vulnerable, right? This is what comes out of our throat chakra. This is what we perceive. When we have a vow to never be vulnerable, often, especially if we've experienced trauma, lots of people can look like a predator, right? That's the truth that gets installed at the sixth chakra. And then the connection at the seventh with the divine, with our higher self, with source energy, is one that we don't trust, right? Because we have experienced such intensity in the past. So it's like, well, why would there be a loving source if I experienced that? Yeah. So you can see how they all kind of flow up the system. So moving on, we've got a couple more processes I'm going to take you through. We'll get finished at about 10 past, I think. But another this is going to be big, I think, for a lot of you, but this is the vow to never allow yourself to be powerful. Okay, so this is very, very, very big, especially if you've found the second chakra work to be strong for you, right? There's been a lot there for you. The vow to never allow yourself to be powerful can come into play as well. So this is the feeling of feeling your power, right? This isn't like a mental thing. We don't think our power. We feel our power, and there can be quite this pleasurable experience of feeling our power. But so many of us have actually vowed never to be powerful because of experiences that have happened in the past, and I'm going to talk about that. But sometimes this can seem quite surprising for people. Well, why would I make a vow to not be powerful or to not feel my power, right? Because everyone says that we want to feel our power, we've got to be powerful, be empowered, stand in our power. Yet a lot of the people that I work with, especially in the one-on-one work that I do, they actually come to this understanding, this realization that at some point they've vowed to never feel powerful and to only feel broken, or to only feel worthless, right? And if this is strong for you, if this feels true for you, then there might be fear coming up, right? We might be able to tap into some of the limiting beliefs around that. If I am too powerful, maybe I might hurt someone, or maybe people might not like me, or maybe I might be arrogant, right? Starting to tap into the limiting beliefs that come up there. But this is such a big piece of the second chakra, right? When we decide it's not okay to be powerful, we shut down the second chakra, we squeeze the life out of it, right? But why would we decide to take on a vow like this? Well, it often looks like if there was a very critical or angry parent, potentially abusive parent, as a child, we might experience that person as powerful, right? We interpret that energy as powerful. And so we can be really attached to the idea that powerful means bad and hurtful, right? Powerful means the experience that I had when I was a child. So we take on these vows to never be powerful like that, or never be too arrogant like that, right? Because maybe if we were a child and we had been arrogant and said, you know, look at me, look at how wonderful I am, we might have been punished for that. So you might be starting to feel some resonance. If this is true for you, you will know it, you will resonate with this in your system very quickly. There's always a childhood root to being too powerful, okay? And this can also get tied in with another chakra, a second chakra vow, very closely related, which is the vow to get even. So if you were highly wounded around your power as a child, and you were born into the planet with strong leadership energy, meaning it's like you were wired to be a powerful person of influence, yet you were wounded around your power as a child, this can actually be one of the most painful woundings that we experience. It's like in a battle, right? It takes such a toll. It takes such a toll. And you will have an unconscious vow to get even with the person who hurt you if you have this playing out within, right? And so how that can sometimes look is that we always make sure that we never act too powerfully. We never honor our power, right? We always hold on very, very, very unconsciously. We hold on to our wounding, kind of like walking with a limp, they say, yeah? Because this is our evidence that someone has wounded us. And if we take away that evidence, potentially we let that person off the hook. So it's kind of like we're holding out for our day in court, right? Look at what you did. Look at what you did to me. But we hold on to this for a very long time. Yeah, we hold on to it for a very long time. So I want you to think, if this is strong for you, I want you to think, who would be let off the hook if I suddenly owned my power? Who would look at me and say, see, I never did anything wrong? And how hard would that potentially be for you to bear? And when you feel that, oh, like this vow to never let that person off the hook, you can see the impact that this has on a lifetime, right? It's a lifetime of holding ourselves back because of this second chakra vows to never be powerful, too powerful, and to never let that, to get even, okay? So this is a big one, and I want to do some tapping with you around this. If there's anyone who wants to be my shadow, maybe Leanne, would you be happy to be my shadow? And let's get started. First of all, just want you to just close your eyes and put your feet on the floor and just take a breath. I know it's a lot. It's a lot. It's very, very, very powerful work. It goes very deep. And just allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you're feeling right now. And for this process, especially for this one with the tapping, if this is strong for you, I want you to lean in, okay? Lean into that. And I want you to come back, open up your eyes, and we'll do some tapping. Okay, Leanne, let's go. And everyone else. Wow.
Wow.
I am seeing a lot today.
I'm seeing a lot today.
Maybe I do have a vow to never be powerful.
Maybe I do have a vow to never to be powerful.
Powerful people can hurt you.
Powerful people can hurt you.
Maybe I've been hurt by power before.
Maybe I've been hurt by power before.
And I didn't like entitled, arrogant people.
And I didn't like entitled, arrogant people.
Powerful people.
Powerful people.
So maybe I've made a vow.
Maybe I made a vow
to never be like them.
To never be like them.
Maybe I was wounded around my power.
Maybe I was wounded around my power.
Around my worth.
Around my worth.
And maybe that person has never apologized.
And maybe that person has never apologized.
Never validated me.
Never validated me.
And so I vowed. Secretly. Unconsciously. To always show the battle scars. To show my wounds. By limiting my life. and living my life
with half my power,
or a fraction of my power.
a fraction of my power.
And that's not really living at all.
And that's not really living at all.
So I really honor this awareness today.
So I really honor this awareness today.
And I want to feel more powerful in my life.
And I want to feel more powerful.
I want to feel me.
I want to feel me.
But I've made a vow
to
not carry a lot of my power. And I'm so open to shifting that.
And I'm so open to shifting that.
To shifting this in my second chakra.
To shifting this in my second chakra.
So that I can allow my empowerment energy. To burst forth. Like a wellspring. Of passion. And magnetism.
And
charisma. I honor that this is really huge for me. And I honor my journey. Okay, take a breath and close your eyes. Okay, just want you to feel whatever you're feeling in your system. Just honoring it, acknowledging it, looking at it, like really seeing it, maybe for the first time. And I want you to also acknowledge your courage for doing this work, because it's not easy. And like I said a few times, it's very counterintuitive. We've got one more process, but hopefully you can start to see these are like the different sides to the second chakra. And there's many sides that we're not going to talk about today. There's so much in this work, especially the second chakra. Okay, so we're going to move on to the final component of this session. It's been a big one. So if you have any water, maybe have a sip. And the final component that we're going to talk about today, the final process, is about tapping into anger. Anger is a very, very big part of the second chakra as well. And if you're not comfortable with your anger and your rage, if you're not comfortable with feeling it and acknowledging it and moving it, then you're never going to be fully able to carry your own power. Now, this can be a really tough subject for a lot of people, right? Who very actively and very righteously made a vow never to be angry, probably because in their childhood they were hurt by anger or an angry parent. And it can make a lot of sense. It sounds like it makes a lot of sense, right? But to not be connected to anger, to not feel that anger, but it actually cuts us off from our power source. And at the second chakra, this raw upward rising anger, it's very similar to the upward rising anger of empowerment. It's very similar to the upward rising energy of like sexuality, which we're not talking about today. Maybe we'll talk more about that on Saturday as a little bonus, because this is very important. But I want you to have a sense, it's these emotions that rise up through our system. This is the channel starting to activate, okay? And anger, if we fully allow ourselves to feel it, and even rage, they don't rise up randomly. Okay, they rise up as a part of our life force survival energy. Often they rise up when we are being stifled, when we're being held back, when we've been wronged, when we've had a boundary crossed, when we've had something taken from us, when something doesn't feel fair. Right? These emotions rise up, and then they reach the upper chakras, which compel us into action, to set a boundary, to speak up, to say no, to right or wrong. Yeah. So the message in anger is often something doesn't feel fair and I deserve better. Or it's I've had a boundary crossed and I need to right that. And when we shut down our anger, we shut ourselves off from that power, right? To be able to speak up, to be able to set a boundary, to be able to right a wrong, right? So there's so much stored in our anger. Anger is the opposite side. Sorry, you've got a coin, right? Anger is one side of the coin and passion is the other. So when we shut down our anger, we're also shutting down our passion, which is massive. So I want you to check in with yourself. How do you feel with anger? How comfortable do you feel with expressing it? Do you know how to express it healthily? Is it something you actively avoid? I had a very big story for a long time and it still creeps in, right? I was the nice girl. Yeah. I didn't like I didn't like upsetting people. I didn't like upsetting myself, right? I wanted to be that cool, calm, and collected, that nice girl, that cool, calm, and collected, like nothing phases me. Yeah. Mum once said, she's like, Tash, you're like a duck floating along a river. It's so serene, but underneath its feet are going at 1,000 kilometers an hour, right? And this is this vow in action. What if you feel anger but can't channel it? Okay, I'll speak to that. I was never allowed to be angry. My father never got angry. There you go. Yeah. And I'd be interested to know if your father had a parent who was very angry, Maya. If there was any of that, if there was one parent who was very, who was explosive or critical, or if that anger was strong. So if you feel anger but can't channel it, you've got to learn how to express it in a healthy way. So we spoke about this a little bit yesterday. One of the things that I like to do, I'll get rid of everyone in the house, firstly, right? And I will roll up a towel and I'll grab both ends in one hand like a lasso and I will take it to my bed. I will get it out physically. I might even scream. I might even cry. I might yell. I might rant. But I move it out of my system, right? Anger has to be often moved very physically. Another great thing to do is to tap and rant, right? I often do this in the car, when I'm on my own. Just rant, get into the flow where you just tap and you rant. You rant like an angry, ranty person. You rant and rant and rant and rant until you cannot rant anymore. And then it generally it starts to slow down. So I'll just have a look here. Oh my gosh, yes, this is a big one, Gemma, for so many. I try to shut it down. My dad is a very angry person that made me feel hurt, and still today. So when I get angry, I feel hurt too. So you're noticing the connection that you've made subconsciously with anger there. It's not enlightened or safe to be angry. Oh, I like that. It's not enlightened to be angry. That's very, very powerful. What we're seeing at the moment politically, right? We're seeing this upward rising of anger in so many communities that have been repressed for a very long time, right? So it's actually very important that anger, obviously we don't want, fires and all of that, right? But it's not ladylike. I like that. It's good to see that. Breath work is very powerful as well. Absolutely very powerful. I had 2 angry parents. Don't know. He grew up in India and went to boarding school when he was 6 and came home once a year. Interesting. I grew up with a lot of anger in my house, scared of my anger. So often when we have a lot of anger in the household when we're younger, then, we swing the other way, right? Or we can go one of 2 ways. We can either follow that pattern and become very angry and resentful and really use that to fuel us as well. Or we can go the other way into, I don't need to be angry. I don't need to be angry at all. But that's cutting us off from a very, very powerful component of our empowerment energy. And it's also, if we can't feel our anger, then we never know when we've had our boundaries crossed, or we never know when we need to, when someone has wronged us. Maybe we do know, but we don't really allow ourselves to be empowered with that. Okay. So let me just have a look over here at my notes. A very interesting thing that one of my mentors speaks about is she talks about how depression is actually depressed anger, right? The energy of depression is often, if it could speak, it's like it's not even worth it to get angry anymore, right? Maybe because nothing's actually come of it that's positive. So it's not even, I'm not going to even allow myself to move that anger and rage in a way that's healthy, right? So we become very depressed. So you may be very conscious that you don't like being angry, or you don't feel it doesn't work with who you think you are. It's not ladylike, it's not enlightened, it's not safe. But I want you to really open your mindset, open your perception up to the possibility that you could even maybe 10% allow yourself to voice and honor the anger that you experience at time to time, and learn how to move it in a way that is empowering, because it's going to bring more positive power into your life if you do that. This is the same power that you can use to create your life the way that you want. It's actually very, very similar energy, that life force energy, right? And when we depress that energy, it's like we have no energy left to do anything with. Yeah. When we depress our anger, everything around us becomes depressed because we're not feeling very much. We don't feel, we cut off from our feeling. So let's do one more round of tapping. Who would like to be my shadow this time? Anybody want to? Hi, Rosie. Okay, I'll get you to unmute yourself. All righty.
There we go.
Okay, so let's just get started. All right. I don't like anger.
I don't like anger.
I don't like angry people.
I don't like angry people.
And I try never to be angry.
And I try never to be angry.
I would never want to feel rage.
I would never want to feel rage.
If there was an enraged part of me,
If there was an enraged part of me,
I would want to repress and depress it.
I would want to repress and depress it.
I would want to lock that part of me away.
I would want to lock that part of me away.
Never let that person out.
Never let that person out.
Because anger hurts people.
Because anger hurts people.
I don't want to be angry.
I don't want to be angry.
I don't want to be that angry person.
I don't want to be that angry person.
It's not safe.
It's not safe.
I don't want to be angry.
I don't want to be angry.
I don't want to feel my anger.
I don't want to feel my anger.
It's not safe for me to do that.
It's not safe for me to do that.
It's not safe for me to do that at all.
It's not safe for me to do that at all.
But I honor
But I honor
that I am human,
that I am human.
and my lower self,
And my lower self,
in my lower self there exists
in my lower self, there exists
the impulse,
the impulse,
the upward rising energy
the upward rising energy
of anger and rage.
of anger and rage.
And it will always be there
And it will always be there
while I am human on this planet.
while I am human on this planet.
And I wonder what it would feel like
And I wonder what it would feel like
if I could voice it,
if I could voice it,
even a fraction of it.
even a fraction of it.
If I could tap and rant,
If I could tap and rant,
if I could get that out
if I could get that out
and voice my anger.
and voice my anger.
I wonder what that would feel like.
I wonder what that would feel like.
I wonder what energy would move.
I wonder what energy would move.
I wonder what would be different in my life
I wonder what would be different in my life
if I could voice and honor it
if I could voice and honor it
and move it,
and move it,
and no one got hurt,
and no one got hurt,
not even me.
not even me.
I don't know what that would be like
I don't know what that would be like
because I don't like anger.
because I don't like anger.
And the thought of anger
And the thought of anger
gives me anxiety,
gives me anxiety,
anxious and stressed.
anxious and stressed.
And I'd rather feel that than anger.
And I'd rather feel that than anger.
And I'm just going to honor
I'm just going to honor
that repressed anger
that repressed anger
can feel just like anxiety.
and feel just like anxiety.
And I'm going to open a tiny bit
And I'm going to open a tiny bit
to honoring my anger
to honoring my anger
in a healthy way
in a healthy way
and everything it's calling me to do.
and everything it's calling me to do.
I'm just going to honor that.
And I'm just going to honor that.
Maybe tapping and voicing it.
Maybe tapping and voicing it.
I don't know what's on the other side of it,
I don't know what's on the other side of it,
but I'm a little bit curious.
but I'm a little bit curious.
Okay, won't you close your eyes? Take a breath. Just feel what's happening in your body today, right now. We've done a lot of tapping. We've moved a lot of stuff, and I want you to be mindful that stuff is going to continue to move for you over the next few days, especially tomorrow. We're going to tap on the solar plexus chakra. So we're moving a lot. This is a very activating challenge that we're doing. And that's okay. But I want you just to allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. And take a breath. Come back to your feet on the floor. And opening up. Okay, so we did a lot of tapping today, alrighty? And I mean that when I say we want you to drink lots and lots of water. It's really important to keep flushing that stuff through. If anyone on the Facebook group, I want you to let me know, how does that feel in your system now? And you know now where you need to work with the second chakra. What is it that you need to do more work on, right? There's so much here, okay? And I want to really reiterate to you guys that this is very, very big, very powerful work. And when we're trying to use this work to grow our business, it is really only one component, okay? It's a very important component, but it's really only one piece of the pie. We've got to take this embodiment work that we're doing, and we've got to meet it with the mindset work to formulate a really powerful and robust and resilient mindset. And we need to meet it with the strategy that we need to really take our business out there, to really go out there into bigger and better and bolder and more powerful ways of being. So tomorrow I'm going to be sharing with you guys a little bit more about the Lightworkers Activation Code Round 2 that I am starting in a couple of weeks, which I'm incredibly excited about. We've got a few women here from the first round. I know it's been a very powerful and activating experience for them. And I'm going to share more with you guys about that tomorrow. But thank you so much for being with me today. I feel like we've covered so much in an hour and 10. You might want to do some journaling on what's come up for you, especially if it's been big. Continue the tapping as we move through. And any comments or insights you feel called to share, I want you to just drop them into the Facebook group as well. And I'll see you tomorrow for our solar plexus. This is big. This is visibility. This is taking action. This is marketing, getting yourself out there. Alrighty, everyone. See you later. Bye.